BBC News at midday. Football's world governing body FIFA says flags are flying at half-mast today at its headquarters in Zurich in tribute to Pelé. It said the Brazilian star, who's died aged 82, was an eternal king and a legend of the game. Pelé is the only player to have won the World Cup 3 times. The former England defender Alan Mullery had the job of marking him at the tournament in 1970. He said it was impossible.
It was just magnificent. I've never seen anybody like him. I mean, we see modern day players today and players that have been very, very, very good. But this man's the top one.
Pelé spent most of his career at the Brazilian club Santos. His official biographer, Harry Harris, said he did wonders for the club.
Santos made their money by touring around the world, and they had certain fees for club, but quadruple the fees if Pelé was playing. He was a phenomenal talent, a major attraction, because even in the States, people wanted to see Pelé. They wanted to see that kind of art form, and he delivered.
A man arrested over a fatal shooting at a pub in Merseyside on Christmas Eve has been released from custody and recalled to prison. 26-year-old Ellie Edwards was killed when someone opened fire at the Lighthouse in Wallasey. A woman has been bailed and another man is still being questioned. Spain has become the latest country to introduce restrictions on passengers arriving from China because of a COVID outbreak. Italy has already announced measures, but the EU's health agency said widespread screening was unjustified. The British government has said it's keeping the situation under review. Spain's health minister, Carolina Darias, set out the demands for travellers from China.
We will implement controls at airports and require travellers from China to present a negative COVID test or be fully vaccinated. And we are taking the necessary steps to carry out antigen tests on passengers from China.
New figures from NHS England show that the number of flu cases in hospital last week was 7 times higher than a month ago. More than 3,700 patients a day are being treated for influenza. The NHS Medical Director, Professor Sir Stephen Powis, said fears of what he called a twindemic had been realised, with the combined impact of flu and COVID putting pressure on the health service. Romanian prosecutors have asked a court in Bucharest to extend the arrest of the former kickboxer Andrew Tate by 30 days. The controversial internet personality was detained alongside his brother Tristan on suspicion of human trafficking, rape and forming an organised crime group. A new species of deep-water coral found off Scotland's west coast and the first ever swordfish recorded near the Isle of Man were 2 of the discoveries made in the UK seas this year. In an annual review, the Wildlife Trusts said the findings show how spectacular life is below the waves, but also warned that marine life is under threat. Here's our environment reporter, Carol Foster.
This has been a year of new discoveries, from coral found at depths of up to 2,000 metres in the Rockall Trench to a 100-year-old Greenland shark washed up on the Cornish coast at Newlyn, and even new records of sea slugs. The Wildlife Trusts also say that sightings of whales, dolphins and octopuses have increased. But they also warn that avian flu has had a devastating effect on seabed numbers, and pollution from plastic to oil spills also took a toll. The trusts say the sea needs better protection to help nature recover and thrive as a matter of urgency.
And the world of fashion has been paying tribute to the trailblazing fashion designer, environmental campaigner Dame Vivienne Westwood after her death at the age of 81. Fellow designer Marc Jacobs said she never failed to surprise and to shock. The Victoria and Albert Museum described her as a true revolutionary. BBC News.
Now on Radio 4, we join a couple of familiar voices as they choose their favourite moments of listening on the BBC from 2022. Pick of the year.
Hello, I'm Emma Freud. It's been quite the year, and the best thing that's happened in it was being asked to host Pick of the Year alongside Richard Curtis.
We picked some of the most memorable radio moments from 2022 to play you, going through a few of the big events of this strange year and looking at some of the unexpected ways that BBC Radio has chosen to deal with them.
For the first half of the year, Richard and I were living in Los Angeles and holding on to the BBC for our sanity every single day, waking up to Evan Davis on PM every morning, going to sleep to Michelle Hussein on the Today programme every evening. And this first choice is a homage to the lifeline that is the BBC.
Yes, this is our poet laureate, Simon Armitage from Yorkshire. It has felt like a genuinely historic year, and in this year, one of the greatest media organisations in the history of the world, possibly the greatest, turned 100. So this is Simon's poem about the BBC on its birthday.
Transmission report. It's the year 2022 on planet Earth, apparently, and I'm careering through time and space, careening between galaxies, scanning the frequencies. The weather is mostly cosmic drizzle, and the media mostly celestial drivel, but for a century now I've picked up a station called the BBC, and despite occasional interference, have experienced deep vibrations in my brain cells, tear ducts and funny bones. As a bonus, it annoys the hell out of tyrants and moguls. But what is it, this BBC, this corporation with nothing to flog, this soul of the nation? If there's some world order it's trying to favour, then it's a complete failure. Just recently, I learnt all there is to know about the sex life of the natterjack toad, then witnessed war, then considered the meaning of life, then deep dived beneath Antarctic ice, then watched a pride of lionesses make a football stadium's grassy plain its natural terrain. Above gridlocked airwaves and channels jammed with crosstalk and static, I set my clock and steer by a signal that pulses keen and measured and clear.